Correct us if we're wrong, but you guys recently got new owners or a new owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, we added Ron Burkle, who is he's a grocery real estate mogul, and so he was gonna join and purchase the Kings to keep the Kings in Sacramento before that all changed. But yeah, Ron Burkle is our main backer.
He also owns the Pittsburgh Penguins too in the NHL too. So he has some sports backing too. So yeah,
That's
no,
kind of
it's
a
great.
that's kind of a weird stretch though, right? Going from all the way from Pittsburgh all the way across to get a team in California. But hey, whatever works, right? Whatever gets you across the line, you know. Let me ask you guys real quick, like what was your reaction when it didn't go through the first time? Like I know you guys talked about kind of feeling tugged around a little bit, but was there any like I know you talked about the over the time there wasn't a lot of doubt, but really like internally, did you guys think that it was never getting across? I know you were talking about kind of like the social media aspect of it, you didn't see it, but inside, did you guys really feel like maybe this wasn't going to happen?
There was definitely times. I mean, you sit there and you're wanting to have this team. You want this organization to do well. We still had a soccer team. Don't get me wrong. You still have soccer, but MLS is what everybody wants. And when you're often the newspapers and social media, oh, Sacramento's gonna be announced, and then you're like, all right, cool, we're gonna be announced at the All-Star game. Let's get hyped for it. And then the announcement comes and there's no Sacramento. You're like, all right, this is pretty much just BS. And what are you going to do? You're going to complain and you're going to leave your team or not support your team? No, but it's definitely a letdown. So for us, it was a matter of keep supporting, keep doing what you do. You don't buy into the hype until something's signed, right? And then last year around August, it was like, okay, this is real, and you're kind of panicking. You're like, oh, okay, well, we've got Ron Burkle. Here it is. Like, this is going to be the announcement. And then it finally comes. You're just like, okay, the moments of support, the opportunities that were there, it wasn't our time, but it's our time now. And when we go to MLS, we'll represent, in the best way we can. Hopefully not like what Minnesota or Cincinnati did their first year, but we do better. And we actually can represent and hold our own, maybe mid-table or even a playoff team. Or heck, we won a championship in our first year with USL. Why can't we do that with MLS?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think like when I saw like Ron Burkle come through and the fact that he was joining the team, I think that's when maybe not just me too, but everyone else. I think that's when like we knew that something serious was gonna happen, and that like I think we were more closer now than even in past years too, because he came in and you're not gonna have like this like billionaire guy come in to USL team just to make it like number one in USL. So I think we started to have more faith in what was going on. But it definitely was like sad to see like the team not get MLS all those times and whatnot. And I remember always just checking up on MLS to see like up to what amount of teams they were going to do expansion for, and always kind of hoping like, hey, just keep adding. If you need to add 40, 50, keep adding. Just keep keep growing the league too. So there's more hope there. But at the end of the day, like I've always said, like even during those times when like MLS just wasn't there, I would always say like I'm always gonna support Sacramento regardless of whether MLS comes here or not, because I always saw that like Sacramento would always be living in the USL. As long as the USL was a league, like we would always see Sacramento. Like there was no way that we would see our team fold. Like the amount of stuff that our team does, like there's no way they would ever fold. So that's kind of how I saw it. In fact, I even told one of the previous vice presidents too. I was like, you guys could build the stadium still, even if we don't get MLS. Like, you guys should still build the stadium just for us, the fans, and we'll still fill it up for you. Like, no problem too. I think people would still get hyped up or having this really cool new stadium. And so I'm glad it worked out. But like I said, I saw attendance just decline once people were seeing that things weren't going nowhere too, and people just talking, people being all negative, like, oh yeah, it's never gonna happen and all this. But what I would always say is like, well, if we get MLS, then hopefully you're not on the hype train now, because now we got it and you weren't sticking around, And so we had a couple of fans that did. I mean, you could just see it with attendance. So I'm glad it worked out for us. But again, had it not worked out, I think the true fans were still going to games, were still supporting, regardless of whether this happened or not. So it was only a matter of us, I think, being able to grow the USL, which I feel like in big part we're a big reason why the USL continues to grow, because at the end of the day, we're one of the teams that pulls more people and one of those teams that does more for the community. I could really say that too. I think that the other teams might not do as much, but Sacramento has always been there since day one, since, like even MLS was in the talks, always been there in the community doing stuff and wanting to grow the game locally too. So, I mean, you just have to support that always, regardless of whether there's a big league or you're in a second division league.